Awesome.
Okay, it's just doing its thing. Come on. All right, cool. There you are. Now I share for you. There we go. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. Ooh. All right. So last week we spoke about the inspired journey of Anna, grandmother of Jesus. Did that nice little meditation and really connected with some soul wisdom. Where did we leave off?
Remember we had our meditation, we had an awesome meditation after, right? Remember I seen the Star of David and you had seen
The golden
Yeah,
central sun.
yeah.
Yeah. So let me look here. In many spiritual traditions, the feminine is honored as source of creation and healing. What does the divine feminine mean to you personally? We spoke about that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We did.
Okay. All right. So now I feel like we're on 6.
We are on 6. I have the line drawn.
Amazing. All right, cool. All right. So again, that the story is centered around, the initiation process, of and how that appeared for the generation. Well, I can't even say the generation because it went across so many, right? But Anna, the grandmother of Yeshua, really, and then how he was initiated, how she was initiated, and these generations. And so, like, this is kind of like the ultimate book for Mystery School Book Club because it is this mystery school topic we're approaching. And so really kind of like we've built that here at R3, through the topics of astrology, shamanism and sound healing and plant magic, and we're really building that here. It's our modern day mystery school. So we're setting the scene for like walking into that energy.
Yes.
And we're all going through our own initiation process right here, right now. And even if you are in a teaching role, we're still having our own initiations. It's just the second.
Affirmations are coming.
You know?
They're coming down. Yeah.
So the idea of intentional living and conscious aging appears throughout many spiritual paths. What practices help you live more intentionally? Meditation?
To the source and putting the mind on.
Mm. No monkey mind, right?
That thing.
That thing.
Giving yourself space, just like I was talking about, creating a space, creating for the meditation, for that peace, for that tranquility, to be able to connect upper and lower, as above, so below, so to speak. Right? So I think that, and then just being health conscious as well, like food intake, and
Yeah.
as intentional too, right?
Yeah.
Those are squishy grapes.
I was like, ooh, okay.
I don't know. You can have the rest of the cheese. I'm gonna have the cracker. I brought food. So,
He knows the way
Sitting
to
on
my
cashews
heart.
right now. He
oh.
does. Food is definitely the way to his heart.
That is a favorite 4-letter word for him. Oh. What's the in between?
Well, it makes sense though, because like especially with paying attention to your food and things like that is a part of
Absolutely.
that.
It really is.
Because, like it's also what we're grounding and how we're grounding. If we decide to eat, fast food every single day, I feel like crap.
Garbage in, garbage out. Yeah.
But the more we can pay attention to those small little details for the big picture.
Like she was just talking about
Yeah.
doing the yam. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. Honey, what about you?
I think, I've been working on setting up my morning routine. Um, I kind of have roller coasters with it, but it, but I think it can also be like intentional living is as simple as going out and soaking up some sun codes in my hammock.
I
You
love
know,
it.
like
I love
just
it.
being intentional, no, like knowing when you need that time. It's just living life intentionally, I think, in a lot of ways too. And those, whether we have a rigid routine or not, um, it's just like that living intentionally, period, is what it's about.
Yeah. So part of this question, I kind of want to read it again because I feel like it's opening other like portals here. In a good way. Layers, you know. The idea of intentional living and conscious aging. That is a conspicuous thing right there. Conscious aging appears throughout many spiritual paths. What came to mind for me initially was the work that I'm doing with water.
Mm.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I collect waters from all over the world, and they're actually back here. And I went to actually where I got this book. So I got it in Glastonbury. You've heard of Glastonbury? Okay. So like there's this water's from Glastonbury, this water's from Glastonbury, and these are a combination of the two waters. So Chalice Well, White Spring, and then this is from Serpent Mound, Ohio. This is from Mount Shasta, California, the root chakra, and this is from Jerusalem. And these are all five. What's interesting is as I'm working with these waters, and you mentioned intake,
Mhm.
it can be as simple as what water we drink and with what intention. We just visited the Fountain of Youth in Florida, in St. Augustine. I'd never been there before. I went to St. Augustine, I can't tell you how many times. And, there was even some like things that they mentioned about like they came over here, the conquistadors, they found out that this water was really different and that they were actually aging less. They felt great. They felt amazing. And that there were what, like 40 something different minerals in the water.
Yeah, something like that, 30s or 40s.
Yeah. And one of those key elements was sulfur.
Hmm.
And I was like, wait, what? First thing that comes to mind is everything you've heard about, all the stuff connected to sulfur. And then I started to look all of that up because I hate to go down this route, but I'm gonna bring it for a transformation here for a moment because I feel like it's deep, like this is mystery school stuff, right?
Right.
A lot of times sulfur is connected with like demon, like in that world. And then I started looking up, where did that come from? Where did we get that idea?
Hmm.
You know what I found while we were sitting there listening to the stuff? That's what I was doing. I was researching that. I never got
Okay.
to talk to this. And essentially, it was all connected to my birth part, or sorry, my bar mitzvah parsha, which is when Sodom and Gomorrah happened, and that like there was fire and like it was destroyed essentially. Brimstone, fire, sulfur,
Yeah.
all that. But then I started thinking about that whole concept, and I was like, because what that area is now is actually the Dead Sea, which is one of the most healing places on the planet. And so I started thinking, I was like, well, is it the element that's negative, or is it one of the healing properties that was gifted by Hashem?
Basically, yeah, to go ahead and purify, you have to go through the fire. Period.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Just like a silversmith, when they're burning and purifying silver, right?
Exactly.
Same principle.
Exactly. And I started to think about that, and I was just like,
Yeah, I get it. I'm there. I can see it.
so it's kind of funny that many people would stay away from sulfur, but maybe that's actually one of the key elements of keeping yourself young.
And boom.
Yeah. And other minerals and being in
Right.
tune, and also ridding ourselves of these belief systems.
That's it.
That's really where it's at.
That's it.
So
People will say why, I say why not? You know what I mean?
exactly. So with the intentional living, it's also recoding our DNA, recoding what is coming in, the information that's coming in.
True. So true.
And the more that we can find joy in those things, we're laughing more.
Yeah.
We're bringing more light into the world, and we look younger.
People are like, you're getting younger. You're not getting older. I'm like, yes, that's right. I'm on the right path. Right? hot damn.
When I was growing up, when I was probably 5th or 6th grade, we went to visit my brother in college. They thought I was a freshman, so I used to look a whole lot older. Like I used to look way more mature for my age. But now it's the opposite. People think I'm way younger than I am. So interesting.
Well, you got a good aura around your brightness.
So
Love it.
with now moving on to the second question, is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
No, wait, I got a question.
Yeah.
On the water.
Yeah.
What about the Salt Lake? Great Salt Lake.
Great Salt Lake in Utah? Never gotten any water from there. Never got any water yet from the Dead Sea.
Okay.
But because it's more for drinking water, you can put that in your water and it amplifies. Actually, fun fact. So I went this week, we had our Seder for Passover, and we have this tradition that the last thing we end on is talking about next year in Jerusalem. Will we do this? Will we do the Seder again? So what did I do? So one thing that is customary when you go to a family Seder is you make it your own. And our rabbis wanted us to bring some type of artistic flair. It could be a painting, it could be an interpretive dance, it could be whatever it, that is to you, and have some type of a teaching moment with it. So, Rabbi, I brought the waters from Jerusalem. And so oftentimes you relate it to the Seder. And so because I said, well, this is perfect, I'll do this at the very end. And so this one over here sings the song. So if anybody's interested in this kind of stuff, I talk about geomancy and things like that, I actually do it's not this Sunday, but the following Sunday at Enchanted Spirits, I'm doing a whole workshop with these waters.
Wow.
It's at 1 to 3. Whatever Sunday it is.
The 27th.
Is it the 27th?
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then that's it. Absolutely. And with getting that, you get your Sacred Traveler bottle, which has all of them, a part of that lecture or workshop or
nice.
whatever it is.
Event, yeah.
Event. But so in that, she sings the song. So it takes us into a whole nother world. We were singing this song after we had just sang praises over after finishing the meal. So one of our customary things in Judaism is, yes, we bless the meal beforehand by saying a simple bracha, okay, a prayer, sorry, blessing. Then at the end, it's actually instruct us in the Torah to bless our meal after we've eaten it. And it's like this nice little sandwich, this prayer sandwich. And you think about like, wow, and again, and living intentionally, right? And so we've just had this beautiful like singing songs going higher. And then she greets us with this song.
All right.
And then I start speaking about the waters.
Very, very, very flowing.
I take the water and I said, and now I encourage you. I said, these are waters from Jerusalem, from the spring of Gihon, where King David and King Solomon were anointed at these waters. And water holds memory. And so I go through this thing and I'm like, I invite you to have a drop of this water. And I just put it in your water.
Yeah.
I legit did that before, like, because I wanted to be in the zone when doing it. I got so high from the
so
water.
high.
I was so high, and I did not have any
love
wine.
it.
I can't drink.
Yeah.
So I just had water and grape juice. That's it. That meal, and I'm like, and I dropped the dropper in the water, and everybody laughs. And I said, "All right, well, we're gonna pass around the bottle. Just put a little bit in." And Rabbi Jenny says, like afterwards, she comes and talks to me. She's like, water tasted different. Is that okay? And I said, oh yeah, it's definitely okay. You can actually taste the difference in each water, which is out of this world. And it just shows you with these different areas on the earth and the intention you're holding when you drink something can put you in a completely different state.
Very true. Amazing.
Love
it. Love it.
So, next question.
I'm good. That was good. I just needed to know.
I love it. What role does faith or trust play in navigating uncertainty in your life? Ooh.
For me, it allows me to really look at myself when I'm in a divine flow of synchronicity and other systems and patterns and timelines are crumbling that maybe my ego is holding on to. It helps me to like see it from a higher perspective, like, it just wasn't meant to be. And I trust in faith and divine synchronicity and everything that I'm being guided to, that's where I'm meant to be. And it's a sense of security, whereas I think before I had like more of a, my ego wanted to be like, well, I have to do this and I have to do that, and if I don't do this, then I'm, this label or whatever. Whereas now it's just like, well, if it's in line with my spirit, then that's where it's at, and I just have to check in with my ego and myself to ask, what's causing this emotional disturbance, why.
Ooh, that's profound.
I love it. Very good.
What about you?
We're very well said. I mean, my when I was going through all the changes, divorce, all that, I got this. It says, but I don't think I can get it off now, but it says it says faith.
Oh, okay.
That's it. This is the wedding ring to myself.
Oh my God, I have one too. It's a
Triquetra.
three
But it's the wedding ring to myself
Holy
and
Trinity,
yeah,
wedding ring to
yeah.
myself.
So
Yeah.
it says it says faith, not by sight, on the back of it is what it says. And so cool. I love it.
Wow.
And and then the other thing is faith the size of a mustard seed. You know how big a mustard seed is? It's like
Mhm.
you can see it.
Yeah.
So those are my things that help me get through, you know,
Mm.
and then what's destined for me will be for me.
Mhm.
Go with the flow. You know, you get beat up so much sometimes with relationships or life or things or whatever that is out there. You just gotta let it go and go with the flow.
Yeah.
And why not? You know, pretty much.
Yeah. Johan?
I think it's always played a pretty big role for me, even though I fight it tooth and nail sometimes, um, as you experienced yesterday. Um, we still get, even when we are in the flow of things, we can still get triggered pretty easily. And so, but it's about taking those deep breaths and allowing yourself to come back to that path of trusting that
Mm.
the universe has your back.
Yep.
And
You
while
know,
the shit we go through may be shit, it's for our higher purpose and
mm,
growth.
yeah. You know, bringing up yesterday in some aspect, oh, there was like a nice little emotional meltdown yesterday, over at my mom and dad's house, and it all came around financials, of course. And what was interesting though is I just realized that I didn't necessarily melt down in the way of fear.
Hmm.
Mine was more connected with defending the faith that I had and trust in the
Yeah.
process. And so, like, you know, well, if anybody knows me and my mom, we in general are loud with each other just because we're just loud beings. And so, like, sometimes we
You're gonna
just
speed after each other a little bit.
yeah, like we're talking Aries sun and Scorpio sun.
Yeah, you're gonna feed
Like-
off each other.
And we
Yeah.
often don't know, like it could be acceptable one day, but not necessarily acceptable the next day, which is kind of a little bit irregular and and then here Jaina is sitting in the other room and is like,
Oh my.
I can't do this.
Yeah,
and,
that energy's gotta be bouncing, man. Yeah.
and so
You needed shields.
yeah. So, but what's interesting is like going back to, that whole scenario though, like I really feel like I'm like, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know how
You
it's
have
going to
faith.
work out, but I have faith it is going to work out.
It will.
I have trust because that's the only place I've ever been. Is for the majority of my life, I've been on this trust fall with the universe. And I've gone to some amazing places because I've trusted. I wouldn't have made Aliyah, like moved to Israel.
Right.
I wouldn't have, gone to Ireland. Like, I mean, now this one was funny. This is probably one of my favorites. So I was in school, you know how you can do those study abroad programs? I was a psych major, and I really wanted to go to Ireland. Specifically, Northern Ireland is where they were going. And we were studying social psychology and international relations. And so my friends got to go, and I was so upset that I found out too late that I wasn't able to go. But they ran the trip every year.
Yeah.
Every summer. And so I decided I was going to plan for it. I was going. I didn't care how it was going to happen, but it was going to happen. So I went and did it the first year. So that wasn't even the trust part. Okay. That was trust, but whatever. The second part was funny. I loved it so much. I said, I have to go back. So I did an incomplete on one of my courses because they only taught 2 classes there. And if I were to complete the other course, I would not get to go back.
Ah,
So in order for me to go back, I literally did not turn in the work that I did purposefully so that I could pay another $5,000 to get to Ireland.
I love it. I love it.
Because I did all the work.
Yeah.
And I just
sure.
turned it in the following
Sure.
year. And they're like, you're nuts. No.
But it worked for me. Yeah, right.
But it's when you're passionate
About it.
about something.
Yes.
And when you had that divine, strong connection, that's what needs to be at the forefront of your mind.
Yes.
Is like, that is driving the show.
Has to.
Love
The rest is butter.
I love
I'm
it.
kidding. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Love it.
So how do you recognize when your soul is communicating with you? Ooh, that's a good question. You like this?
Yeah.
Vibrating.
Always.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So cool.
What about you?
Yeah, vibration, numbness, tingling, feeling of like buzzing going through, like, traveling through the body. Sometimes just getting high, like lifted out. Like you can feel the spirit detach and like go to a space for a moment.
Yeah.
That's true. Stumbling for me too. Sometimes when I'm like, what the heck is going on? Because I'm not really here. I'm here.
Yeah.
The grounded body isn't coordinating too good.
Yeah, it's like a
It's weird.
disassociation.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm.
It's so weird. I'm like, okay, cool.
How about you, honey?
I mean, pretty much everything that they're saying, I experience very similar.
Okay.
All the confirmation chills and,
Love
I
it.
do, I get downloads from time to time and sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not, but I know it's there.
So this is kind of an invitation to this particular type of question that is within this question. You guys are familiar with the clairs? What do you identify as your clairs, like primary clairs? Do you remember?
I'm clairsentient mostly and
So feeling.
claircognizant.
And knowing.
Yeah, I'll get like a scent, I'll just know something all of a sudden and then I'll feel like with my clients, it's really annoying sometimes, like I'll just start having this pain and I'm like, well, this is a new one.
Mm.
I haven't done this before. This is funny. And I'll be like, okay, well, it's probably the person who's on their way to see me, thinking about how they can't wait for me to get this pain out of them. And sure enough, that's always what it is. So it's like, I'd actually like to learn how to put boundaries around that. It's one of my struggles right now.
Mm.
Is taking on other people's energy and always having to question, like, what is this? Is it mine? Is it someone else's? What am I meant to do with it?
Mm. So it's funny because our next class, the Astrology 200,
Mhm.
that's the class.
Okay.
But it's centered around your zodiac empath skills.
Oh, wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's the 300 series?
200.
That's the 2.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the classes. And if you know the zodiac, you can follow along to be able to understand this class, essentially. But
Cool. I'm excited. Can't wait.
And then there's the light too, like Walasa, like when she's talking the last 2 classes I went and I only, don't see a lot of light around many people, but she was like bright white, like all around her to the extent that like she was disassociated from the environment, like couldn't even like look at her properly.
wow.
Like she was like in her own hologram.
Wow.
Yeah, holding really, really high vibe space there.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So the seeing, Claire seeing. Wow.
And like with Jaina, when I work with people, a lot of times I'll see light moving and stuff, and sometimes it's mine, sometimes it's theirs.
Okay. What about you?
Mine's an intuition, hearing, and plus hearing. I hear.
Okay.
I can hear like I was talking with Jaina and I was like, I hear, ever since I was a little kid, I always heard voices, and it sounds like a crowd or like static, but I can hear, but I can't make out the exact sounds. But I hear, and my grandpa used to get ticked off because I'd make him go in the basement. There's somebody down there, like 6 and 7 years old, and I wouldn't go to sleep until he went and checked. It's coming back full force again. I could be laying in bed and I can just hear. And just the other night when we left here, somebody was calling my name out there, April, April. It's coming. I mean, it's coming on board. We're lining them up. And then just intuition, just knowing that you know that you know,
Mhm.
but you know.
Right.
I don't, what is that one? I don't even know what that is. That's
Right.
just,
Claircognizant, right?
Knowing
Yeah.
is the claircog.
is that what we talked about, Jana? That I know
Yeah.
that I know, and the intuition, I would be able to say, I used to run, offices, and I'm like, you need to finish that up because the vice president's coming. No, he's not even here. No, he's gonna be in the office here in 2 minutes. And they're like, how'd you know that? No, he's gonna be here. I felt the presence. I knew that he was gonna be there. That's just one example, but all the time that stuff happens.
Mhm.
Like, I call that know that you know, you don't know how you know.
Yeah.
So the knowing.
What about you, hon?
Claircognizance is definitely my strongest, I think. But I experience all of them pretty much to a degree. Some are stronger than others, and I would say cognizance and audience are the strongest. Um, yeah.
Their audio is the hearing, right?
Yeah.
Like we
Yep.
talked about. Okay.
Uh-huh. Um, clairsentience. I mean, really, like I said, I've pretty much got all online, but some are way more subtle than others.
I I feel like Claire knowing, like the Claire knowing, the cognizant,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
the knowing is very strong. It like answering it how, like the soul is communicating with me. Sometimes I'm just like intuitively, instinctually know where to go or what to do or whatever that is. I don't know how I know, but I know, and I'm very strong in my know. And it's like, it's kind of funny because I look at it from like the zodiac aspect, and it's like my moon has this strong knowing, but my rising points the direction
Okay.
for the Sag,
I
and
love
then
arrow.
and then the Scorpio is like the intensity and
Mhm.
within that and all the layers in between.
Okay.
And then like I can, like, for the hearing, I can hear portals. Like I literally can hear them,
Like the frequency, like pitches.
which is really like it's nice when I'm doing a house clearing and
That's very cool.
like
Yeah.
and I didn't realize that was like like I just didn't realize that what it was
What it
until it
was.
just like,
Okay.
oh, okay, that's what that is.
Okay.
It's
interesting.
legit. I have a question.
I mean, my hand was up. I was gonna ask if you could check my space out,
I mean,
because there's some things going on there that I've noticed, or like, I didn't know you did house cleaning. That's after the book club, sorry.
it's okay. Yeah, Jaina and I we do that. She uses her voice.
Oh, God bless.
The first time
Her voice is like an angel.
Oh, my God.
it was so wild. Like this past year, it was the last day of the year, and we were called to do a house clearing with another person, our Mama Laura, and she's a chaplain, and I have done house clearings on my own before, and I've done them with a partner. I was always depleted completely. With doing it with a 3, I was fulfilled. I had extra energy.
Mm.
It was unbelievable. And I noticed there were certain things that I would normally do in regards to house cleaning or clearing, I mean. And Jaina, would actually, like, I can see how we're working together now. Whether I have to step back on certain things and allow her to take the lead on certain things, you know? And it was, or like there's complementary work too. And it's just like so amazing to see that conversation at that level with each other in that type of space, you know? It's wild. But yeah. So let's see here. I'm gonna move on to the next question. So if you believe your thoughts, actions, and energy rippled out to impact generations, how might that influence the way you live?
A more conscious way to live, like checking in with your emotional baggage and like, okay, is this something I want to create more of in the quantum and through others?
Mhm.
Or if it's not, like freaking go within and journal or like do some painting or like Jana, like go out in the sun and hammock and like reset that, clear it. It's not cool to leave that energy behind.
Agreed. I think I obviously I could always live more consciously and do better, but I feel like I try and live that. Like I still have some major things that I am clearing and I understand that, but I also know that I've cleared a whole lot from my lineage already. And I've there's more to go, but the fact that I can do this and really live, and I think of it in context of our kids. We don't have them yet. And I want to make sure that I am healing everything that I can so that I'm not passing down the things that I've already cleared, you know? Are you guys there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
processing.
I was like,
processing
We're
right now.
processing.
I was
Real
like,
quiet. She's like,
freeze.
So it's actually interesting because I go back to like, we're human.
yes,
Like it's a thing.
we're two-leggeders.
Yeah. And we have emotion. We have thoughts. We have feelings. All these different things are all happening at one time while the world is still moving and we're interacting with each other, you know? And so like, it's really true that there's a universe in each person and we're all connecting to create these bigger universes. Yesterday was very telling, like um I get so passionate in the space of like holding that vibration of like, no, I trust. And but also holding a certain boundary, like, no, your negative influence is, your lack of trust is not going to affect me. That kind of thing, And and when it's all happening internally, right? All this whole conversation within ourselves, especially when something happens like this, right? And it can be interpreted in different ways from the outside. I literally was just like, I cannot have another word on this matter that is of negative. That's literally what was going on in my being. And so to reaffirm that, I start to go out the door and I slam it. I'm like, not happening. you know? And so then I realized at that moment in time, I'm like, because the door handle came off partially. I was like, oh, well, that was a little much. Okay, well, even though my soul is feeling it this way, I still need to take responsible for the action that I just did.
Right.
Because like I'm navigating in this physical world and that could potentially leave a negative imprint, even though I'm not intending it to.
Very much so. Yeah.
Right. So what did I do? I'm like, we're just gonna go over to the toolbox, grab the tools we need, and start working on the door. And you know what was really interesting when that occurred? My father, who normally loses his temper, was calm, holding space, balancing the situation with his Libra moon. Wow. And so, and he knew because he's been there before. And he was playing this role of like, you'll learn. It'll, like it's okay. This thing happened, but it can be fixed. It's not the end of the world, you know? And so and so I put the effort in, even though I got upset and I was holding a boundary, I still went back to fix it before I came, to anywhere else, like went to any other place and calm my nervous system and allowed for all of that. And it just shows us like, even if we do something too much or make a mistake or whatever, it can be changed, it can be shifted, but we have to be clear enough to be able to do so. And then I knew that before I left, I needed to go hug my mom and kiss her. Like, because I was not doing what I did out of anger. I was doing it out of holding a boundary.
Yeah.
And even though it was interpreted as
anger towards,
yeah, that's not what I was intending.
Right.
And so I felt like even though that all happened, there was some type of a transmutation that happened. That even though it wasn't the most pleasant experience, it still was very transformative. And it's like, well, there you go. That's the Scorpio intensity. Like, but we all have those moments, and how we choose to do that next moment is important and pinnacle to everything.
Very much.
And what path you choose moving forward. It can be in anything. I've seen it play out in front of my eyes before. And sometimes you have to walk that back way after the situation. It ain't pleasant.
Very true.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
But
thank the door handle? I'm just asking.
oh,
You really need to,
yeah.
because it gave that break that you needed.
Yeah.
So you need to at some point.
I feel like I had that moment when fixing it. I'm like, thank you for not
Absolutely.
breaking. Thank you for
Absolutely.
being there.
Every piece of everything, it'd be thankful for every little thing. It has its own energy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But
That which slowed you down for the moment that you needed
yeah.
to gather.
Yeah. Wow. Any more on that one?
No, definitely. Thank you. So
Thank you for holding space. And that brings us to the next question. Forgot about that. What does it mean to hold space for someone or something sacred? Can you share a time you've done this for another or for yourself?
I feel like well, definitely you and I can hold space for each other on a daily basis, whether that's good or, like, because we have different things to talk about, and, it's not always about giving a response or giving advice or anything like that, but just being there with presence. So a person can talk through what they need to talk through.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like we all do that with each other almost on a daily basis.
Truth. Very true.
What stood out to me is, can you share a time you've done this for yourself? And what first question, that's not even something I don't think I've considered. So what would that even look like?
I felt like yesterday felt like that a little bit for me. At the door, I had a moment where I stopped.
Yeah.
Processed what just happened and said, what I do here next is important. I feel like it doesn't always have to be that intense, you know? But I mean, I think it goes to show the fact that we may need more of these moments for ourselves.
There you go.
More reflection, more time with ourselves. Just process information.
And in processing it, sometimes I feel too, it's like when you're going through those moments and reacting or need to hold space and you know you need to hold space for this person or thing, less is more.
Mhm.
Less is absolutely more. That's my learning.
Mhm.
Even though I want to, but less is more for myself,
Mhm.
for the situation as well, you know, especially being in areas, less is more. Had to learn that. That's the biggest thing. It's like, okay, April, less is more right now. And just let things process the way they need to. Not running away, just backing up and letting that time go, you know, for each person involved.
Yeah.
But then I'm working on this, I'm gonna take it a different direction because I think this is so cool.
Okay.
On the Duke Energy phone calls, when I get the older people that aren't able to, punch in their credit card number on the phone, I can physically hold space for them and energy for them to do it. And this is what I do. I hold it so that they can go ahead and put their numbers in. It's holding energy and space and time for them. Don't know how it happens, but it happens. And I love it because you're constant, that's playing with energy, I guess,
Yeah.
is what that is, but I love it.
Yeah.
And holding space for them to be able to get their pay, all they want to do is pay their bill, but with all computer systems, we're talking 85, 90-year-olds,
Yeah.
and it's just so hard. Can you imagine? I
Mm.
mean, I have a hard time with all this technology stuff, let alone, they've never even seen or having to deal with it.
I will tell you, I was impressed that my grandmother had a phone,
That's amazing.
like a cell phone.
Yeah.
And she could work it. And I'm like,
She could work it. Yeah.
I was just like,
I love it.
like,
I love it. I
she
think
was in
it's
her
great.
90s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? Like, that's a lot. Her generation's completely
No.
different.
And holding space for, the older people, the people that didn't have that time to be able to do that, and give them that time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how did we like this book? Like the themes,
I
the
love the themes.
connection
I
points.
still want to read it
Yeah,
or
there's-
listen to it, but yes, yeah.
There's a lot. There's so much here that
Yeah.
we only scratched the
I'm
surface
sure.
of the lessons in this.
Mhm.
And we did it in a roundabout way because we just talked about that, not the actual storylines,
Right. I wanted to do the storylines, man.
which is unique in itself. And I'm actually really excited for next week too. I want to show you guys I'll show on here. How do I find it? No, those are astrology. No, that's astrology. Holy Martial Magic, Mystery Club. Okay. This right here. So next week, and I can bring it over. Do you have yours in here?
I have it in one of my folders of the many folders of the folders.
But we have next week. It's called Size of Your Dreams. This one probably needs to be on Amazon, and I'm going to encourage you to listen to the Audible. It's such a dynamic, the way that they did this, it's one person, but they're role playing the characters. So you get to hear a live dialogue.
Okay,
So like, yeah, you can read the book and that's totally fine, but
I wanna listen to it.
It's
It's what I wanna
so
do
great.
anyways, yeah.
and you know, sometimes they have free trials on Audible, that, you know, or you can just get the book itself too. It's as similar as buying a book on, you know, Kindle or regular book, having it shipped to you. But at least you get an instant. I started listening to it again this morning, and there's a lot of self-growth, like with this particular book. And it's all set, the scene is all set in a school, a high school, trig class,
Oh,
but they don't
goodness.
talk about trig.
Oh my God. I remember that. I was glad I went back to high school trig class. Okay.
And it's profound. So one of my mentors, and his wife, wrote this book, and they teach through stories.
Cool.
And so we also have another one, towards the end of what I created for a calendar, in May, called the Cash Machine. That's also a really good one, but
Yeah.
the size of your dreams is so good, and we're gonna do some exercises with it, that are gonna be unique. Like, it's not just gonna be questions next week, it's gonna be a little empowerment session.
Okay.
So, thank you, honey, for tuning in.
Thank you.
And I see you at home.
Bye, guys.
Tomorrow then, Jana, too?
What?
You're gonna be here tomorrow at 1?
Yep.
Okay, because I want to line up a session for my cousin with you.
Oh, okay.
So we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Love you, girl.
Love you.
And if you want to find out more about where you can, you know, be a part of this and zoom in and whatnot, go to r3miracles.com, go to events, and go to the Mystery School Book Club. The link is on there, and we're happy to have conversation with you.
Yay.
All right, stop share. And